Someone's just playing you and you're going up and down and up and down and you don't have any control over it. You just don't have any control.
I mean, I hear about up to 100 voices, but then like, Jesus, they're not there all the time. Mostly there's just about like 20 or 30 voices, you know, daily.
The rush is, I cannot explain it. People just describe it as euphoric. It's far beyond that.
I didn't want the party to stop. It would often go on for days and days and days.
Bipolar was like fighting. Sometimes you get kicked down, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
I'm thinking, why aren't I bleeding? Why haven't I got any blood on my face? Because all these explosions happening inside my head.
My life felt like it was unravelling. I had decided that my husband was cheating on me and I felt like he didn't love me anymore.
I thought, what if someone that touches this has been to the toilet and hasn't washed their hands? What if, what if, what if?
I think the word I like to use to describe myself at times is eccentric. I think eccentric is my favourite word. I think it makes it more normal. Eccentric. Oh yeah, you know, Chloe, she's a bit eccentric. I'm absolutely crackers. When I've been really, really unwell, it feels like you're being spoken to by a higher being, that they're telling you, you're almost like the chosen one. You're almost a special person who's been chosen to receive this information, and you just don't know what to do with it. Rush of, I've got to do it, and I've got to do it now. And if I wanted something, I'd go and get it. I can remember just looking out my window and seeing my car and think, oh, another one. And within an hour, I was at a garage, putting a deposit down on a Vauxhall Tigra. And then, literally within the hour, buying another one to two-seater convertible. I love it when people use the word manic and say things like, oh, I'm having such a manic day. And I just laugh to myself because I think, oh, yeah, well, you know, you've not bought 3 cars. I don't think you're having a manic day.
A worry I had today was, what if you're in the cab on the way to the studio and a fly flies in the cab and it touches you? What are you going to do? Now, my immediate response was go home. Go home, wash, shower, get myself clean. If I hear a fly buzzing in my ear, it's like the Grim Reaper because there's so much fear. I know what flies are and I know where they live and I know what they eat and I know what they fly on, and bins and all of that kind of disgusting stuff that attributed to flies, it rattled through my head. And that's just from hearing a buzz. And that could be the buzz of a drill that's a mile away, but I hear it distinctly in that moment, and immediately I'm tense and my heart's going and I'm hot and my mind's just gone and I'm lost, and time goes, time becomes irrelevant.
I mean, I hear about up to 100 voices, but then like, Jesus, they're not there all the time. Mostly there's just about like 20 or 30 voices, you know, daily. They can just be as clear as your voices now. Voices can be almost like you're hearing the radio or something in your head, or even you can hear voices outside your head as well, and hear voices in different body parts as well. Some are male and some are adults and some are female and some are kids. And then I have a lot of really funny voices as well, like, you know, that can make me really laugh out loud down the street. Do you know, so I call them the jokers. And then I developed musical voices, you know, and I call one of my voices Mozart. Sometimes I wake up to fully like orchestrated music and stuff like that as well. Like I have an inner MP3, which is pretty cool. Then they could be like normal stuff as well, like, you know, you have to pay your bills today and all that kind of stuff, you know? I mean, like practical shit like as well, like.
I get in this car, I drive off, so I'm starting to feel a little bit weird, just a little bit weird. And I'm now at the Scottish Labour Party conference. My head is it's out of control. I'm hearing music, I'm hearing bagpipes, I'm hearing rows at home, I'm hearing rows in the office, I'm hearing people shouting at each other, all at the same time.
People with personality disorders feel things a lot more intently. I experience much more dip and then up and then back to normal, and dip and then back to normal, and then dip and then back to normal. It's exhausting. The diagnosis I was given is called emotionally unstable personality disorder. The emotions basically go sort of up and down, up and down, up and down on a daily basis. It's pretty exhausting. Whereas someone who has bipolar, they go up and they stay up there for a considerable length of time, and then they come down and they stay down there for a considerable length of time. Having a personality disorder is a bit like being a yo-yo. I mean, someone's just playing you and you're going up and down and up and down, and you don't have any control over it. You just don't have any control.
I was cracking up. And my head was literally cracking. It felt inside. I mean, I can remember part of me thinking, why aren't I bleeding? Why haven't I got any blood on my face? Because all these explosions happening inside my head, these glasses, these windows in my head, and they're breaking. If you'd have seen me there, you'd have seen me going. And then I saw these two guys at the door watching me, and one of them just said, do you think you should come with us? And they were special branch. And of course, that once I discovered that just fed the paranoia. The next thing I know, I'm in the back of a police car. And I think, what the fuck am I doing in a police car? And then the next thing I know, I'm in a cell. And the noise is still going, the music is still going. I took all my clothes off. Don't know why, but I did. And then at one point, this poor copper, he comes in and he says, can I get you anything to drink? And I say, I'd really like a bottle of your finest champagne. Would that be possible? And this guy says, I can get you a can of iron brew, will that do?
When I had my first child, I found it difficult to connect to him, and I think that's because I had postnatal depression. No one says what it's like when you've got a crying baby in your arms and you've fed him and you've changed his nappy and he's had his nap, you don't know why he's crying. Sometimes I just started crying, and I just couldn't stop.
Some of the early problems I started noticing was that I found myself very worried about touching door handles at school, walking around the corridor, going to the toilet at school, picking up books at school, being at school in general. I thought, what if someone that touches this has been to the toilet and hasn't washed their hands? Or what if they've picked something off the floor and haven't washed their hands? Or what if? And all of those ran through my head every single time I looked at a door handle or looked at something I had to touch. And it was rapid fire, constant, stimulated thoughts in my head that just overwhelmed my brain all of the time.
There was a lot of little pieces of my life that felt like they were unraveling. I had decided that my husband was cheating on me and I felt like he didn't love me anymore. I became quite aggressive. There was one particular instance where we had an argument and he had gone downstairs just to get a glass of water. And I, for whatever reason, assumed that he was going downstairs to get a knife to kill me. I swore at him. I shouted and screamed for him to come upstairs and demanded that he stood in front of me so that I could see he didn't have any knives on him and he wasn't going to kill me. I was a happy-go-lucky person. I never thought I'd be in this situation talking about mental health issues. I was going crazy.
My father was an international cricketer, so I grew up very much in the spotlight. I would say that I had a very happy childhood. I think that the first time that I really noticed something alarming, I was around 17. My anger showed itself in a quite extreme way. Things being thrown around the room, broken remote controls, but not just broken, smashed to smithereens. I didn't want the party to stop. For me, it would often go on for days and days and days. I remember in my second year at uni, my student loan came in, which was, I think it was about £1,100, which in those days was a huge amount of money. And it was gone some 7 or 8 hours later. By the time early evening kicked in, I'm thinking, what on heaven's earth have you done this afternoon? I was suddenly poles apart from moments of anger to extreme sadness. And of course, at that point, I didn't know I had an illness.
And then it wasn't till I was about 17 and I had various times in my school life where my behaviour was described as erratic. I'm the life and soul of every situation I'm in. I can't stop talking. I have these thoughts and this creativity comes out of nowhere, you know. But then I have days where I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to get out of my bed. I don't want to go to school. I don't even want to talk to my family. I felt very lonely because you have to continually feel like you have to justify your behaviour to people and you have to justify why you do things, and it was very strange. You know, friends that I had for a long time were sort of like, you know, I don't really want to sort of speak to you anymore. Everything came crashing down and I just thought, well, something needs to be done.
17 was the point where I said, okay, maybe I should get some psychological help, talk therapy or whatever. And I got referred to a psychiatrist and she was asking me a lot of questions. And then I kind of slipped that I heard voices, you know, I was kind of like, oh, and the voice is saying this to me. And immediately, like, she propped up and was like, oh, you're hearing voices, you know. And then you kind of had this, like, serious look on her face and my voice was like, shit, we shouldn't have said anything. We shouldn't have told her you're hearing voices or that you're hearing, she's talking about us. I got admitted about a year later. I got labelled a chronic schizophrenic, and to me that word means absolutely nothing. And it seems to be their favourite kind of word as well.
The time of boxing, it was a very, very good time. It was the happiest I've ever been in my life winning the World Championship. Having a dream from when you're 8 and then actually your dream coming true at 33, very, very happy. It's just when I finished with boxing, that's when I got unhappy. I got divorced, lost 75 acres, big house, lost a wife, lost the kids, and it weren't nice, you know what I mean? And I went through a breakdown. You just wake up in the morning, the days the sun could be shining, it could be a dull day, and you're just lethargic. You can't really move, the energy's gone out of you, your brain's not really communicating with your arms and everything, and you just want to lay in bed and just feel sorry for yourself. But I remember it like it was yesterday. And they were trying to say they come to section me, but I never heard about section. I didn't know that when you get sectioned, you have an ambulance outside, the police was outside. About 5 police cars were outside my house. Very nice for the neighbours. It was embarrassing. It was shameful. So I came to run around for about 8 hours. Eventually, they gave me an injection in my house. And the next thing I knew, I didn't know where I was until I got up in the morning. Then I realised that I'm in the mental hospital.
So I remember when my dad took me to the doctor, and I remember, as the words came out of his mouth, I think you might have OCD. So OCD, in my mind, is categorised as any thought or behaviour or ritual or obsession, obviously, that interrupts your life to the point where you can't lead a normal life. My OCD manifests itself mainly with contamination, obsessions about continually being clean and not wanting to feel dirty. Everything is a worry because everything's unpredictable, because life is unpredictable and life goes on without me. And everything went up and up and up until I was about 17 and a half. And then it just plummeted to the worst.
So I went to see my GP and I said, there's something really not right here. She referred me to the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service. It was a series of kind of meetings with doctors, And it was never a formal, we think you have this. It was more like written on the top of the letters, or any correspondence they sent to me was diagnosis, bipolar affective disorder. And I remember reading the letters thinking, oh, right, okay, you know, okay, there is actually something wrong with me. So I have a diagnosis of bipolar affective disorder type 1 with psychotic features. My mood can either elevate or go very low. And with that, I might experience some psychosis. So delusions, abnormal thoughts, hallucinations, voices. It's called mania. The rush is, I cannot explain it. People just describe it as euphoric. It's far beyond that. Times by 100 and you're not even close. It's like nothing else. And I know I'm talking about it and I'm smiling and people say to me, well, isn't that great? But I think that's a massive misconception because although at the time it is, it's also extremely dangerous.
I was at my worst. I noticed that I couldn't be in the house on my own. I thought somebody might try and get in the back door. I was watching the front door, thinking someone might try and get in there. I felt like I was trapped. I felt like a really, really terrified feeling in the pit of your stomach. Your heart is racing. You feel like you can't breathe. I felt physically sick. I could potentially cry all day. And I eventually developed psoriasis under my eyes and around my nose where my tears were kind of gathering all the time. I would start to chip the fillings out of my teeth. I was clenching my teeth so hard, just being anxious and on edge all the time. As soon as I walked into the doctor's room, I burst into tears and I managed to kind of get out a couple of words about I wasn't coping and more tears, more crying. And he quite quickly said, had I considered that I might have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
The suicidal thoughts came in gradually and haven't left me since. It started with postnatal depression. It then went into depression, and then I was suicidal, and then I was diagnosed. I'm what I would call passively suicidal every single day. There is not a single day when I don't think about my generalised plan for suicide. I used to drink a lot of Diet Coke, and people would say to me, oh, you can't drink that, it's full of poison. And I'd say, well, I'm suicidal, so I don't care. The way it works for me is that one plan starts at the failure of the last plan. That's what's so dangerous about me in terms of the psychiatric profession, because I'm highly suicidal and I'm impulsive. No, not a great combo.
When me and my boyfriend met, I was still probably quite unwell. And yeah, that first conversation, I mean, how on earth do you bring up? When's the best time to bring up that you have a psychotic illness? I mean, and what, like, when do you bring that up? Is that sort of like second date material? Is that like fifth date material? I'm not really sure. Like, it's a disability at the end of the day. So I remember when I was applying for jobs and you have to state whether or not you have a disability under the Equality Act. And I was just like, well, yeah, I do. But it's just weird, like it's this label, but it's very strange.
I can't remember how long I was in hospital for, but I remember eventually started to feel just a bit stronger. And then eventually I got back to work, I went back to the Mirror. And then out of the blue, John Smith, leader of the Labour Party, dies. Tony becomes leader, he asked me to work for him. So I was telling him about the breakdown, just as I told you, all the details, all the music and the noise and the paranoia and and I could see he's looking a little bit worried. But he said, well, he just said, I'm not bothered if you're not bothered. And I said, well, what if I'm bothered? He said, I'm still not bothered. But then I started to notice, as time went on, just more and more of these sort of crashes, you know, real low crashes and sort of horrible depression. It's usually just after I've woken up. Not always, but usually just after I've woken up. And I can just sort of feel something over there or over there. It's like a cloud and it comes closer and closer and closer and closer, and then it sort of just it just gets into you and it fills you. It's like death. You feel just dead. You feel, I can't get out of bed, I can't lift my eyes, I can't open my eyes, I can't get my brain to work. With Fiona, and to a lesser extent with the kids, I had no compunction about sitting there and just not talking for a weekend, for 3 days, for 4 days, just being almost, comatose. I can remember the first time one of my kids came across me. I was just sitting in the bathroom, and I was just crying my eyes out, and, Dad, what's wrong? Nothing. It's just what it is.
When I was at my very worst, I self-harmed. I beat myself up, beat myself black and blue in the face. And that was because I absolutely despised myself. I was spending irresponsibly. I had debts, overdrafts, and if anyone challenged me on my behaviour, they were the ones who would normally get an absolute tirade of abuse. The eruption that took it from anger to rage would come in. I lost the plot completely. And I'm thinking, yeah, actually, I'm an absolute, total, utter failure. I am mental. So, you know what? Let's do everyone a favour. Let's just be out of here. They're going to be better off without me.
I got chickenpox. I wasn't able to shower. I wasn't able to wash. I couldn't get clean. It very quickly deteriorated to me being afraid of contaminants and air pollution to the point where I became housebound. And then very soon after that, I became practically bedbound. So every day, my girlfriend would set the TV channels for the entire day for things to come on one after the other because I couldn't touch the TV remote. My dad would then come, and with him he would have brought a new towel, new toothbrush, a flannel, new set of clothes. I would shower myself down because I couldn't use the bath, and would then brush my teeth, and if I touched the sink or touched the bath, I would have to start and shower all over again. And that was every day for 9 months. When I was at my worst, I was pale, malnutrition, weak. My dad said the only way he could describe looking at me at that time is I looked like I'd been having rounds of chemo. And not one day went by where I didn't want to be here anymore. I wanted to just be gone.
Unfortunately, my grandma passed away, and obviously I was grieving. It was really difficult. My mood started to elevate. It took a very dark turn. I was had lost touch with reality. I was not slept for well over a week. I was talking to my dead grandma in my living room, thinking she was sat with me. And the next thing I know, I'm really, really ill. For the first and only time in my life, I tried to take my own life.
I was led into rape when I was 13. That's where stuff got really kind of horrific for me in a lot of ways, and I got a lot of really horrible, negative, very crucifying kind of voices, which I kind of call the butchers. So it's like a clan of voices. There's like 10 or 15 of them, and they're like seriously critical and violent. Calling you a whore and a slut and all these kind of things as well, which is not nice to hear. These voices were just like ripping me to shreds, like basically, and that like eventually like it led me to like bang my head off the ground, publicly. Like I ran out of a cafe and just started smashing my head off the ground, and I just wanted to die. I didn't want to listen to them anymore, that kind of way.
I love my kids. Not easy, it's embarrassing for them to see their dad going away and people thinking that their dad's cuckoo. Isn't nice. I've been sectioned 3 times, and it's the most horrible experience of your life. I was very, very worried where they're going to take me, because them places, they have about 4 different doors, ching, 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 that you can't get out. doctor come in and he took me into his office and he said, I got bipolar. But I didn't quite understand it, that when you spend a lot, when you do erratic things, when you've got a lot of energy and you're buzzing 1 minute, then you're down the next. But that's bipolar for you.
As I would come off the manic episodes and the rage that inevitably had seen the end of it, the only way to try and describe it is it's almost like falling off a cliff face, a sheer drop. I thought it was me. I just thought I was an extremely rotten apple, and I was beginning to harm myself. It was beginning self-loathing and self-contempt. You know what? Let's just do it now, because we've got to the stage where the pain that you are constantly inflicting on those around you. And you know what? I don't want to feel the guilt anymore. It was an overdose on tablets. I can just about remember the emergency services getting there. They very comfortably put it in the days that followed that had they been even 5 minutes later, we'd not be having this conversation today.
I took an overdose in quite a serious way. People have asked me, did I really have an intention to die? And I can't answer that question because it wasn't me. You know, I wasn't sat there weighing the pros and cons of my life before I did it and then decide, oh, you know, there's a few too many cons, that's it. It was just, right, what is going to be the quickest way to make this end?
I've lost count of the number of times I've attempted suicide. The idea of going to sleep and not waking up, just going to sleep, that's what it was for me. I just wanted to go to sleep and not care anymore.
Every day that I was lying on that bed, I wanted to die. I remember when everyone would be out of the house thinking, if I could just muster up the strength to run down to the kitchen and get a knife and kill myself, and then I don't have to be here. I was just alone in every single sense of the word, and never in my life felt despair or hopelessness like that before. I had nothing. And I remember my dad stood in front of me. He completely broke down, cried, and he just said, I can't do this anymore because I'm watching my son die. And I don't know what to do. And you're either going to die or I'm going to have to ring an ambulance. And I don't think up until that point I had actually been in the real world. And it sounds ridiculous, but for so long I had been in this faraway reality of this is my life. And I thought, Christ, I'm crazy.
The gaps between the depressive episodes were getting too narrow, and it was almost like they were rolling into each other, and I'm thinking, oh shit, no, please don't. For years, I didn't talk about this at all. I'd just muddle on, I'd struggle on, I'd just fight it. 97, the election night, the 3 elections that we won, I didn't enjoy them. And then we had these tickets for an Eric Clapton concert at the Albert Hall. Now, I sort of knew I was feeling myself going into a bit of a dive. We were right up in the balcony, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but I actually was at one point thinking, why don't I just jump off? What was the point of this? You certainly imagine your death, and you imagine your funeral. Yeah, pretty shit, really.
I was the youngest person in that, like, a psychiatric ward. It was horrible. It was an awful place to be. You'd be around a lot of other very traumatized people. I saw a lot of things in there no young person would see either, you know? It's a regime of drugs. The side effects could be loads of things, like abnormal facial movements and stuff, like my eyes would strain upwards and all this kind of stuff. The first time I was in hospital, I thought that. I was like, looked around and I thought, no, I gotta figure this out, I gotta get out of here, you know? But they kept giving me all this literature on schizophrenia and whatever, chemical imbalance, blah, blah, blah.
I remember the first day that I woke up in a psychiatric hospital, and it was absolutely petrifying. I've never been that frightened in my entire life. You know, the people I was seeing in there were people you wouldn't even look twice at if you walked them in the street. And there they were, so these ladies sat opposite me in this lounge, and we were all like, we were all extremely unwell. I've never been so scared. I remember the worst thing about it was knowing that my illness could get that bad, that I could end up in that position. That terrified me. It was really quite life-changing, I think. You know, it really made me sit up and say, bipolar disorder with psychosis is not an illness to ignore. This is something that you need to get a grip on. That's just what these illnesses do to you. If you let them, they take over your whole life.
I woke up in a ward at Manchester Royal Infirmary the next morning, and it was a very different person that woke up. The doctors explained to me that I'd been living with the illness, bipolar disorder type 1. I don't suppose many people get to diagnosis of living with what's a potentially lethal illness and jump up in the air and go yippee. I nearly did. I had gone 15 years of despising myself. I hated myself to the point where I thought people around me would be better off if I wasn't there. I didn't have to hate myself, there was a reason. I didn't have to be guilty, there was a reason. I had an illness.
They call that mental health care, and there was no care involved whatsoever. And those drugs are chemical lobotomy. I mean, totally a chemical lobotomy. I mean, I was on ridiculous amounts of them at times. I was getting antipsychotics, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, medication to stop side effects, even though those medications stop side effects cause side effects. You don't feel human on them. You feel really dehumanized. And you just felt like a zombie. The voices were still there, you know, and actually they were quite worse because there was these drugs trying to suppress them. They didn't want to be suppressed, so they kind of almost fought back. So I kind of deceived them. I kind of just withdrew cold turkey, but I didn't tell them, you know. So I was off for about like a year, and then I just kept seeing them, the psychiatrist, once every 6 weeks or whatever. And then after the year, you know, they were like, oh my God, you know, you're doing so brilliantly and you've done so well and you've never been this well before. And I kind of just turned around to that psychiatrist and said, that's funny, I haven't taken your medications in a year. There should be choice. I mean, I may be anti-medication and anti-psychiatry, but some people may like it. That's fair enough. I think there should be choice.
So with me having PTSD, it was a result of being assaulted, and that really left me for about 2.5 years trapped in the fight, flight, or freeze kind of situation. You're not just living out your day with PTSD, you're living out your day with PTSD and going back to that trauma over and over again. It was a normal day, I was just kind of leaving work. I was sitting on the train on Twitter. At one point though, I saw kind of out the corner of my eye, a guy walk down the aisle past me, but then kind of clocked me, stopped, reversed back a little bit, and then sat down next to me. He was quite a large guy, so I was kind of trapped. He smelled really strongly of alcohol. So I sat on my phone, you know, staring at the screen, using my peripheral vision, I guess, to kind of see what was going on. At that point, suddenly he assaulted me, and I froze. So when I went to the mental health team, they had quite quickly said that treatment was on offer for me. By the end of that first session, instantly I could see a change. I didn't feel sick, my heart wasn't going, And to this day, I can talk about it and I have full recollection of what happened. I'm not stuck in that moment anymore, and I don't go back to that moment anymore.
They're such gorgeous children. I love sitting with them, watching cartoons on telly and talking about them and cuddling them. But the problem is, my ex-husband, he was right. When I'm in an active state of suicide, I need to be on a ward. And if, I can't guarantee when that's going to happen, I just may drop out of their lives for 2 weeks. So it does make sense that they should live with my ex-husband. I love my kids so much. And it is difficult to be without them. It's difficult not to see them every day. And it's difficult not to, not for them to come home every night and tell you about their day at school. My youngest, what he ate for lunch that day, because that's what's important to him. Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult not living with them.
My parents split up when I was about 7.5. It was the Christmas just before the millennium. I realised that my mum and dad weren't getting back together. Mum wasn't coming home. I wasn't going to be a family with them anymore. So with extensive therapy, we've come to the term that the reasoning for my OCD was as a coping mechanism when my mum left, to alleviate my sadness, worry, fear, stress, and that physical objects became a lid on my sadness and my fear and my worries of being abandoned. And obviously I then wanted those things to stay perfect. It's not the fly that I'm bothered about, and it's not the person who's held onto the tube that hasn't washed their hands that I'm worried about. It's fear. It's fear of what's going to happen? How do I deal with it?
I never did therapy, never got offered it, and it's too expensive in Ireland anyway. I do remember the first time I heard voices. I was out in my backyard, and I was about 3, I'd say, and I was kind of out there drawing or something like that, and then I heard this voice, a child's voice, talk to me like nobody was there. And, she called herself Alison and said to me, "You're going to be a great artist." That was the first thing I heard. My biological father was a very alcoholic man, so that voice came in as kind of a voice of positivity to say, you're going to be a great artist, you're going to do something good.
I think psychiatrists often sit there thinking that there's something deeper here, there's something darker that we don't know about yet. I don't think there is. I think we're all born different, and I think some people get it and some people don't.
The mind is a very, very powerful thing, but at the same time, it's a very, very weak thing. Bipolar, it's like fighting, you know what I mean? Sometimes you get kicked down, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Some days are good days, some days the sun's shining, some days the sun is not shining. So it's very, very confusing. But I'm a fighter, and I always will be a fighter.
When you have a mental illness, it can be quite difficult to admit that you have a mental illness, and that's almost the first step to kind of, learning to live with it.
It's difficult to say whether I was born with a personality disorder or whether that's something that came as a result of nurture. But you can sit here and think, oh, well, it was this, and this. And in the end, it's irrelevant. Because you're still stuck there with a personality disorder.
What's normal anyway? Nobody is completely normal, and most people who think they're normal are the real mad people out there, do you know what I mean?
My mental health now is, it's probably... Be careful what I say here, I think. Don't end up back in hospital. How is it now? It's probably one of the harder questions to answer. I feel that, things are good. Not too good. Gotta be careful. Not too good, just good. I'm not sat around waiting for the next time. You know, I'm just going to live my life the way I want to live it, and if that happens again, then I'll deal with it when it happens. When I left psychiatric hospital, I vowed never to go back, and now I go every day for work.
Acceptance is the biggest learning curve, definitely. The biggest tool in recovery, big time. A lot of people think, you know, these voices are the problem, but it's mostly your relationship to them. So you have to kind of learn to be in the driving seat. You have to learn to be the most dominant voice out of all of them. I hope there will never be a day where I won't be without voices. Like my inner people, you know, or whatever, your homies.
I used to grade the feelings of stress, and I'd say to myself, okay, the breakdown was 9 out of 10 bad. So the papers are saying horrible things about you. So what? 1 out of 10. I'll do it with my depressions as well now. How bad is this depression? Might be 6, might be 7, might be 8. But as long as it's not 10, I feel I've been through worse. I'm on a medication now that I think I've got a horrible feeling it's become my latest addiction. But I don't mind because I've felt better for the last 18 months.
At the end of the day, your mind isn't necessarily controllable. You can't change how you think or how you feel. You don't understand how good you've got it until you've been to a dark place. I'm back to the old me, but I kind of work on the basis I've got a bit of extra oomph about me.
Running is hugely therapeutic. It keeps me so well balanced. If my mind's racing, if I've got those fears of manic, running somehow slows me down. And yet, when I'm feeling a little bit flat, exactly the same run lifts me.
I can't lie and say every day I'm fine, because I'm not. If I want to do things that the majority of people do, like go out or get on a train or go to a pub and have a pint or eat in a restaurant or go to the cinema, all of those things are things that cause me tremendous fear, anxiety and worry. It wins sometimes, and it had a lot of years where it was winning. But now I feel that I can say no to it, keep the monster at bay.
When you're a boxer, you learn how to protect yourself and be more determined and fight for yourself. Yeah, I don't know what the future might hold, but as long as I keep myself looking left and right, keeping sharp, keeping focused, doing the right things, I don't think I'd be sectioned again.
So when I actually can drag myself off the sofa and go outside on that day and take the dog for a walk, it does have a good effect on me. As far as the boys are concerned, I want to be there to see them grow up. I want to be there to say at their weddings the embarrassing things they've all done. And I just want to see them grow up.